Karen Ho's voice boomed through the supermarket like a foghorn in a storm, her words slicing through the hum of fluorescent lights and the soft clatter of shopping carts. "Meat is murder, you heathens," she bellowed, her chins wobbling as she planted herself in the middle of the meat aisle, a human barricade of righteous fury. Shoppers froze, their carts squeaking to a halt, as Karen, all 300 pounds of her, glared at anyone daring to reach for a pack of ground beef. Her sister, Lynn, a wiry echo of Karen's zeal, flanked her, clutching a stack of homemade flyers that screamed, "Save your soul, go vegan," in garish red ink. The HOA sisters had turned aisle 7 into their personal pulpit, and nobody was getting their pork chops without a sermon. It was a Tuesday evening at Sunny Mart, the kind of place where tired moms and overworked dads shuffled through after long shifts, just trying to grab something for dinner. The air smelled of raw chicken and desperation, the shelves stocked with neatly wrapped cuts under plastic wrap. Karen, in a fluorescent pink tracksuit that strained at the seams, had decided this was her moment. She'd been vegan for 3 weeks ever since a Netflix documentary had opened her eyes, and now she was on a mission to save the world, one shopper at a time. Lynn, always the loyal sidekick, nodded vigorously, her bony fingers thrusting flyers at anyone who came too close. "You're eating sin," Lynn hissed at a young woman named Mia, who just wanted a pack of chicken thighs for her kids' dinner. Mia, a single mom with dark circles under her eyes, gripped her grocery list like a lifeline. She'd been up since 5 a.m., juggling a nursing shift and a toddler who refused to nap. All she needed was to get through this shopping trip without a meltdown hers or her kids. But Karen's bulk blocked her path, and the woman's voice, dripping with condescension, made Mia's blood boil. "You're killing the planet, sweetheart," Karen said, leaning in close enough for Mia to smell her patchouli oil. "Don't you care about your children's future?" Mia's jaw tightened. She didn't have time for this. "Lady, I just need to feed my kids," she said, her voice low but sharp. Karen scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Typical. Selfish carnivore." Across the aisle, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson leaned on his cane, watching the scene unfold with a mix of amusement and irritation. He'd seen a lot in his 78 years wars, recessions, and now this. A woman built like a linebacker preaching about sin in front of the ribeyes. He just wanted a steak for his Friday night ritual, a small joy in a life that had grown quieter since his wife passed. But Karen's tirade was making that impossible. "Young lady," he said, his voice gravelly but firm, "some of us just want to eat in peace." Karen whirled on him, her face a mask of outrage. "Old man, you're too ancient to be eating that poison. You should know better." The tension in aisle 7 crackled like static before a storm. Shoppers were starting to gather, drawn by the spectacle. A store clerk, a lanky teenager named Jake, hovered nervously at the edge of the aisle, clutching a walkie-talkie. He'd called for the manager, but Mr. Rodriguez was on his break, and Jake was in over his head. "Ma'am, please," Jake stammered. "You're blocking the aisle." Karen rounded on him, her eyes narrowing. "I'm saving souls, kid. You're complicit in this slaughter." Jake blinked, unsure if he was being fired, cursed, or both. Lynn shoved a flyer into his hands, muttering about blood on his conscience. Mia had had enough. She stepped forward, her voice shaking but resolute. "You don't get to judge me for feeding my family. You don't know my life." Karen laughed, a harsh, barking sound. "Oh, honey, I know your type. Too lazy to care about the planet." The words hit Mia like a slap. She thought of her kids, waiting at home, hungry. She thought of the hospital patients she'd cared for all day, the ones who didn't make it. She wasn't lazy, she was surviving. "Back off," Mia said, her voice now a growl. Karen smirked, undeterred. "Or what? You gonna hit me with your murder meat?" Mr. Thompson, sensing the situation spiraling, tapped his cane on the floor. "That's enough," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "You're not God, lady. Let people live." Karen's face reddened, her righteous facade cracking. "You're all sinners," she screamed, snatching a pack of ground beef from Mia's cart and hurling it to the floor. The plastic split, and raw meat splattered across the tiles, a red smear of chaos. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jake's walkie-talkie crackled. Mr. Rodriguez was finally on his way. But Karen wasn't done. She grabbed more packages, steaks, sausages, chicken breasts, and flung them like grenades, shouting about carnage and damnation. Lynn, caught up in the frenzy, started ripping open packages too, smearing raw meat on the shelves. The aisle was a war zone now, the floor slick with blood and plastic. Mia stepped back, her hands shaking, while Mr. Thompson muttered under his breath, "Lord, give me strength." Jake, panicking, radioed for security. The crowd murmured, some filming on their phones, others shouting for Karen to stop. That's when Mr. Rodriguez arrived, a stocky man with a no-nonsense glare. "Ma'am, you need to leave. Now," he said, his voice calm but ironclad. Karen turned on him, her face a mask of defiance. "I'm doing God's work," she screamed, waving a chicken drumstick like a scepter. Lynn echoed her, chanting, "God's work, God's work." But Mr. Rodriguez wasn't having it. He'd dealt with shoplifters, drunks, and even a raccoon in the produce section. This was just another Tuesday. "You're destroying property," he said. "You're done." The cops arrived minutes later, 2 officers with tired eyes and handcuffs ready. The crowd parted as they approached Karen, who was now screaming about oppression and vegan persecution. Lynn tried to film the officers, shouting about police brutality, but one of them calmly took her phone and set it on a shelf. "Ma'am, step back," the officer said. Karen, sweating and red-faced, refused to move. "You can't arrest me. I'm saving the planet," she wailed. But the officers were unimpressed. They grabbed her arms, and as she thrashed, her tracksuit ripped at the seam, exposing a flash of skin that made the crowd wince. Lynn screamed, "Let her go," but a second officer gently guided her away. The handcuffs clicked around Karen's wrists, and the officers led her out, her screams echoing through the store. "You're all going to hell." Mia stood frozen, clutching her cart, while Mr. Thompson shook his head, muttering, "What a waste." Jake, still shaking, started cleaning up the meat-strewn aisle, while Mr. Rodriguez apologized to the crowd. The videos were already hitting the internet, hashtags like Meat Aisle Meltdown trending on X. Karen and Lynn were banned from Sunny Mart for life, and the store pressed charges for property damage. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire. Local news ran segments, calling it the vegan vigilante incident. Karen's face was plastered across social media, her smug sneer now a meme. But for Mia, it wasn't funny. She went home that night, cooked her kids' chicken thighs, and cried at the kitchen table, exhausted by a world that judged her for surviving. Mr. Thompson got his steak, grilled it to perfection, and toasted to his late wife, whispering, "Some people got too much time, Betty." Jake, meanwhile, got a raise for handling a crisis, though he still flinched at the sight of ground beef. Karen and Lynn faced their reckoning in court. The judge, unimpressed by their Save the Planet defense, fined them heavily and ordered community service cleaning up a local butcher shop, of all places. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Karen's righteous fire fizzled out, replaced by sullen resentment as she scrubbed floors under the watchful eye of a butcher who loved his job. Lynn, ever loyal, stuck by her sister, but even she started to question their crusade. The world didn't change because of their tantrum. It just laughed and moved on. In the end, Aisle 7 went back to normal, stocked with meat and quiet shoppers. But the story of the HOA sisters lingered, a cautionary tale about zeal gone wrong. People don't remember Karen for saving the planet. They remember her screaming, cuffed, and dragged out of Sunny Mart, her voice fading into the hum of everyday life. Sometimes, the loudest voices are the ones that teach us the most, not about their cause, but about the cost of judging others. The end.